second or two. Can anyone hear me? Please put a wave in the chat or something like that. All right. Waving back, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining in. So, because I may not be the biggest tech guy ever, the original plan to do a webinar where people could sign up, or we could do it a bit more privately on a closed call, went to shit, because I may know how to go live on Instagram now, but I do not know how to do Zoom calls yet. So if someone out there knows how to do that, maybe feel free to reach out and teach me that. But for today, we'll do it here on Instagram. And the only thing that is missing right now may be my better half, my partner Lorenzo. He couldn't be here today, so today you will have only me to listen to. I hope that we can make that work. Today I wanted to go through two different things, and obviously I am a kind of guy who have a lot on the heart, a lot to say, a lot of opinions. So sometimes we would have to schedule it down, decrease it down to be a little bit of what is most important. People always say that I don't have time to do it all. I choose to use the words I prioritize to do one thing over another. So that's what I'm going to do today. The first thing I wanted to talk with you about is scheduling your time. And I'm not sponsored by anything, but you're gonna hear me say Google a few times. And if Google is eventually going to see this, feel free to reach out. I don't mind being sponsored eventually. But I do use Google Calendar and I do use Google Keep to do a lot of my scheduling and a lot of my keeping list of things. So I'm going to go through a bit of ideas to do that. And the reason for why scheduling may be one of the biggest things in my life is that for the last maybe 8 years of my life, I've had dreams, I've had goals, I've had ideas of what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until really when I sat down with a friend of mine a few months back who told me that he remembered when he was at my age. He's 32, I'm 28. And he told me that, oh, I remember when I was at your age, it felt like yesterday. And man, I wish I had started when I was at your age. And I thought to myself, if a 32-year-old man is telling me that about being at my age and about wishing starting when he was at my age, how would I feel when I reach his age looking back? Would I also say the same things? Like, would I also look back and be like, am I wasting my time? So I started doing something different. And it's not a new invention. It's called the calendar, and I think it's been around for hundreds of years. Nowadays, you can even have it on your cell phone, which means you have it in your hand all the time, which means you have no reason actually not to just put in the calendar what you're going to do. And the way that I use the calendar, and the way, if you're new, that I would actually recommend you do it, is that you can put in like different levels of things into a calendar. The first one is the most important one that I would wish that I did before and that I would recommend you guys doing. The first thing you need to put in your calendar is for you to make the ideal week you have, the non-negotiables. What is a non-negotiable? It's something that you want in your life, maybe for the future, and therefore you need to do this maybe every day, or at least every time you put it in your calendar. So it could be something you do a few times a week, or it could be something you do every day. For me personally, I have 3 things that are non-negotiable. I need to do this every day. I have working out, doing some sort of exercise. I have reading, and I have what I call acting. And if we just take them one by one, the first one, exercising, may be the most important one for me. And it's not because I'm saying that everybody needs to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger or the next, who's the big guy, Sylvester Stallone or Dwayne Johnson or whatever. That'd be cool. But that's not the goal. It's just because we cannot go around now in 2025 and ignore all the articles, all the scientific papers on how much a little bit of exercise actually helps us in the long run as being human beings. It reminds me of an article I read the other day about if you're, for instance, studying something, if you're learning something new, go for a walk right after. And apparently, I'm no scientist, but I just like reading. Apparently, that should get your memory to work better. So if you are studying for a test coming up, or if you want to go through some papers before you have a presentation at your work or whatever, study it and then just go for a walk. This article said that, of course, the more intense the exercise you do is, the better it would work, like the better your memory will work. But it also said that if you just go for a walk around the block, around your building, whatever, you remember it better. I have this commercial I keep referring back to. I've seen this commercial maybe for the first time 10 years ago. I have no idea what brand, what company made it, but it lives rent-free in my mind. I'm gonna put it up on the story afterwards so you guys can see exactly what it is, because it's a great metaphor that I use all the time for thinking ahead. And indeed, in terms of also being maybe in the better shape, because I would argue, and this is just me being provocative maybe, but I would argue that you not being in shape, again, not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but just somewhat healthy, is kind of selfish. Hear me out before you log off. I know it's provocative. Hear me out. Let's think into the future. This commercial, which I'm talking about, is about this elderly man. I would guess he's in his 70s, maybe even his 80s. And throughout this commercial, which is kind of a long commercial, he's seen starting to do movements that we wouldn't really say that older people should do, because it could be dangerous. But he picks up a kettlebell. If you don't know what a kettlebell is, this is a kettlebell. And he just starts to do this. I don't know how many kilos he does it with. This is a bit heavy on me. But he does this in his garage, in his living room, whatever. And the surrounding people in his neighborhood starts to pay attention to what the fuck he starts doing in his 70s or 80s. Neighbors, family, whatever. And then we get to the end of the commercial, and it's the holiday season, it's Christmas, and he arrives at his daughter's home. He enters, and then he sees his granddaughter, who is equally excited to see him as he is to see her. And he picks her up so that she can put the star on top of the Christmas tree. Now, I know this is a fictional commercial, but if that's not a metaphor for thinking ahead in terms of your health or fitness level or whatever it is, I don't know what is. I'll put it in the story after so you can get motivated or inspired yourself. But that's important for me. The second one was that I read. And that's also a non-negotiable for one specific reason. I believe that if you run out of things to talk about, and you therefore maybe end up talking about other people, gossiping, which I'm not a fan of, but if it's because you run out of things to talk about, maybe it's because you don't have enough inputs going in. And inputs can be anything. I just prefer reading. And my brother is studying psychology. He's the smart one in the family. I'm just here blabbering. He's actually reading, studying the things. But he does send me articles every now and then, and I do read them because I find it interesting as well. So I read psychology articles, or I read books. I'm in the middle of the Steve Jobs biography right now. And I do that because, first of all, it gives me confidence. It makes me feel like I'm getting better every day, smarter every day. And second of all, I always have something new to talk about. If I meet someone I haven't seen for a while, or if it's just my colleague the very next day, I always have something. And then the last one I had, my last non-negotiable, was what I call acting. And acting isn't what you see in Hollywood. We just have the Oscars. It's nothing to do with that, at least not in the terms that I use it. Nah, acting is acknowledging by calling or texting. I'm going to repeat. You acknowledge people by calling them or texting them. And I do this every day with at least one person that I care about. Now, let's try to reverse the roles. Because you never know exactly what people are going through. And imagine you had the worst day in your life. Maybe it's something that happens every now and then. You're in a bad mood. Maybe it's you lost someone dear to you. Maybe you get fired from your job. Whatever it is. And you got, pling, a text message from a dear friend of yours who you maybe haven't heard from in a while, saying, hey, I just wanted to check in. It's been a long time. Hope everything is alright. How would that make you feel? Chances are pretty fucking good. The thing is, sometimes we feel so uncomfortable reaching out to people we actually care about because we haven't heard from them in a while, and we make up this story that they moved on. And that's not always the case. Actually, that's rarely the case. Because if you think that way, what are the odds that they are thinking the same way? Probably pretty high. I've seen throughout these sessions that I've had with people and just in my life in general, I've seen people reaching out to friend groups that they thought they had lost. Maybe even I've seen siblings reconnect because someone had the guts to say, hey, been a long time, just wanted to check in. Now that's beautiful. And I do that every day. Those are the 3 things that I schedule every day. Then the next thing that comes in that you have to put in the calendar, at least what I would say, is the non-avoidables. So we just had the ones you want to do. Now we have the ones that you cannot go without for the day. And for me, for instance, that is my full-time job. Now, for most people, that means hating your life 8 hours a day. Luckily for me, that's not the case. I like what I do besides this. But it does mean that 8 hours a day, more or less, I have to block my calendar. I cannot do much more than that. So that means that 8 hours a day in the calendar, I'm doing the non-avoidables. Some other time I spent doing the non-negotiables. And what else do we put in? Well, I have 2 things that I put in. The one that I want you to focus on next would be the ones for your future. I know that after a long day, the last thing we want to do is work even more. But hear me out. Let's say that you actually do a little bit of effort towards the future. How would you feel 1.5 years from now if you spend, let's say, 30 minutes, maybe an hour every day working towards a certain goal? It can be anything. Getting in better shape, starting a side hustle, moving countries, whatever it is. If you get a little bit better every day, how would you feel 6 months from now? Compared to 6 months from now, you didn't do that and you're sitting on your ass as you are now. Which feels better? I know what I would answer to that one. So schedule in whenever you want that. For me personally, I do it in the morning. I do whatever I want to do for the future. Not that I want to do it right now necessarily, but future Alex would look back and say, hey, thank you, past Alex. So I'm doing it for him, right? I do it in the morning. I'm not a morning person by nature. I don't think many people are, if any. But that's about habits. That's about like doing it anyway. I saw a quote just before going online or going live with you guys that said, well, if you don't feel like it, do it anyway. Because it's not about feelings. It's about actually just getting the work done. So I want that to be in the schedule in your calendar for the third one. And then you can now schedule in the fun, right? And here's what people, in my opinion, get wrong. Because all of these things would get people to say, hey, well, then you don't have time for fun. And that's not true. But what happens most of the times, if you actually have fun, or just you relax, or whatever is going on, what are you feeling actually? Are you feeling joy? Probably not. What happens most of the time when we do that is that we feel we are procrastinating. We actually feel kind of bad that we're doing these things because we know, or at least we feel like, we should probably be doing something differently. So how do we avoid that? Well, procrastination is actually just you putting into your mind that the thing you do right now, whether it's watching a movie, a TV show, playing video games, hanging out with your friends, is something you shouldn't be doing. So how do we avoid it? Well, we plan it. If you do this as the last thing, guess what? You'll actually enjoy it. Even if you do it while having planned to do the things you need to do for the future or for whatever reason, even if you plan to do those after you had fun, you actually feel better about having fun. Because you know that for the next 2 hours after this is done, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go all into the study or whatever it is. So plan it out. That's really the essence of this one. The next thing, apart from Google Calendar, is Google Keep. And again, I'm not sponsored, even though I'm open. It's Google Keep. And I use the list. I actually had this one presented, this tool, which Keep is for me, last maybe 5 years ago, from some mentors of my own, who told me like this fun phenomenon, I think the word is, that we all know the yellow notepads, that you write down something you need to remember sticking on the refrigerator at home, and when you get back home from your work, you're like, shit, I should have done that before I got home, right? Then the next thing came, which was the notes on your iPhone or on your phone in general. But let me ask you something, and I want you to actually check this with me right now. Open your phone, open notes, scroll down, and see if you don't react with, I totally forgot about this one. Do that real quick. Chances are that you had the same reaction I did when I did this myself 5 years ago. So what do you do instead? I know that the notes system also works across platforms, from phone to computer to whatever it is. But Google Keep is actually just one step smarter, in my honest opinion. Because in Keeps you can make different labels for whatever. So if you want to find out what you wrote in the notes from at Astra, you just click and all the notes regarding Ad Astra drops down. Then you can color coordinate and you can put the different under labels on this. Then you can see, okay, my full-time job, click the notes you have from your job. Alright, how about dinner date with my girlfriend? Click, okay, when is it? Shit, I forgot it was yesterday. That's why she's mad. If you do all this, then you actually know exactly what's going on. And I just have 3 ideas for list you should have there. The first one is the easiest one, and you're gonna roll your eyes when you hear this one. A grocery list. Hear me out. I know we all have always had grocery lists, but have we remembered them, or do they lay at home in the kitchen when we are actually in Lidl or whatever it's called? I know we have them on our phone, but can we find it in the notes? No, probably not. But if you have it on the Keep and you just walk in and you say, okay, I want cheese, grab it from the shelf, going out of the store, you save time, you save money. Maybe the time could be used for fun or something else. So that's the first one. I know it's a basic one, but believe me, most people don't do this. The next one is the act. Like, remember I told you before about acting? If you note down the last time you actually reached out to someone, let's say your grandparents, you note down on the note, okay, grandma, granddad, the 12th of January 2025. And then the next time you speak with them, you update it 12th of February 2025. This forces you to confront yourself with, do I reach out enough to this person? I myself have a list of people that I reach out to, and I reach out to at least one every day. Now, going from one country to another one, coming from Denmark myself, now living in Germany, of course the list of people that I consider friends or whatever decreases a little bit, it's just how life is. But I can still go into the sheet I have to keep note and see, okay, the last time I spoke with Kenneth was 64 days ago. Maybe I'm not that good a friend to Kenneth, right? So that's the second one. And the third one is the big one. And for some people this might be redundant, but I do believe it's one of the most important things that we do not learn in school, which is how we represent ourselves. So specifically how we dress. And I know what you're thinking now. I am actually wearing something that looks like I just crammed it down to a snowball or something. I should have worn something else to get the best presentation for you guys, but I just got excited because I just got this shirt with the logo on, so I wanted to wear it when I went live with you guys. But what I really mean is that you don't get the second chance for a first impression. And let me put up a scenario. Whenever you walk outside your door and you go to do grocery shopping, you go to attend a seminar or whatever at school, maybe it's because you need to go on a date, whatever. Which scenario of these two do you do the most, and which one would you like to do the most? So the first one, you walk out, chest held high, walking confidently because you actually know exactly what you're going to wear, therefore you put the clothes front. And you did a little bit of grooming at home, you know exactly the fragrance you're using, whatever. Or you wake up too late, or you did something else that took your time. So you just put on whatever is on top in the shelf or in the drawer. And then you head out, if you do the grocery shopping, hoodie on, down, don't want to talk to anybody today. And, well, which one is you? And if you're the second one, don't hate yourself for doing that. I did that for the longest period of time. But let me ask you a question. Whenever you do the second one, how often do you feel confident? And how often do you get a compliment? Probably kind of rare. If you do the other one, and I'm going to explain the trick to do it without spending too much time. If you do the other one, the compliment is never far away. And because we are human beings, we like compliments. They make us feel good because we like to be acknowledged as someone good enough for something else or for someone else, right? So here's how you do it. You make a list on Keep, and on this list, this is a one time, you put all your clothing items. And for some of you, for me indeed, that was a lot of things that I had to write down because I have a problem with how I spend my money. Anyway, you make the list, and of course you divide it into different things. So it's not hoodie, pants, jacket, whatever. No. All your hoodies, all your crew necks, all your pants, all your whatever. And then besides it, you do the same as with the act note, which is put the date for the last time you actually used this. If you don't know when the last time was, you put X. And then you just update it whenever you wear it. And this does two things. It forces you to confront yourself once again with, do I actually use the stuff I have? And if you don't, get rid of it. Sell it. Give it away. I don't give a shit. But the more things you have in your life, which are items that you don't use, I bet the more you actually are the type of person who are, how do I say that? You're seeking joy by shopping. So let's get rid of that, right? So here's how you do it. You write it all down, write the date next to it, and then every Sunday, because the writing it down list is only once, but every Sunday, you go to the list and you figure out, what do I want to wear in the next 7 days? Now, I have a list on Pinterest, which is just for inspiration to different clothing items or different styles or outfits in general that I want to be represented by. Styles I can actually do with the clothes that I have. And then I just go onto the list I have on Keep and on the Pinterest board. And I'm like, okay, I want to look like this Monday. And I want to do this on Tuesday because I have an important meeting with my boss, which I know because I put it in my calendar. I'm going to wear a suit because he likes that. On Wednesday, I have a date with my girl, so therefore I need to look like this because she likes when I wear black. And can you see how it all correlates? That the more structure you have, the easier it gets. And this takes me 30 minutes every Sunday, and it makes me go through each day without having to wrap my brain around what do I wear today. Because I also like compliments, we all do. So how do I get them? Well, I don't do that by taking the decisions on the day. I plan ahead. The last step to do that is that every evening, Sunday evening, Monday evening, whatever, you sit down with the computer and then you note down, all right, today I wore this. So you update the list with the clothing items. And then you look for tomorrow because you planned what you're going to wear tomorrow. And you figure out, okay, these pants, this t-shirt, this hoodie, and you put it out on your table and it's ready for tomorrow. Because when you wake up tomorrow, believe me, believe yourself, you do not feel like getting out of that bed. And if you're not, let's say 100% there, because you're tired, you didn't get enough sleep, whatever it is, you're not going to pick the best outfit. You're not going to set yourself up for the best day ahead. So you do that the evening before. All right? Make sense? Okay. I do see some comments in the group, and I'll get back to the questions at the end of this. But I want to move on to the next one, because this is the one that I have been looking forward to actually explaining to you guys about. Because, as I have mentioned, if you've been following the page, at Astra and everything I do gets inspired from experts, from coaches out there, from, well, leaders in various different fields. And my idea is that I take those things that they say and dumb them down to my level so I understand what the fuck is going on. Because if I understand, because I'm just an everyday man, maybe everyday people would understand. So that's the idea. Therefore, a lot of the metaphors I use, and for you, those of you who know me, you know that I tend to use a lot of metaphors. I tend to use a lot of pictures. I tend to draw, even though I'm horrible at it. I'm a visual man. A lot of arm movements and big gestures. But this one, the one I want to present for you now, the one on the whiteboard, is an Ad Astra original. Like, I came up with this one day. If you've seen it before, I guess I didn't, but I did come up with this one, and I call this one Mind Your Table. And this is a webinar. It's not just me standing here talking. It's supposed to be something that you can actually get something from. So I need you to coexist with this, whatever I say now. So figure out how, either by your phone, on notes, or with a pen and paper, whatever you feel like, but I need you to actually do something with me right now. I'm not going to be able to see if you did it, but I would like if you could post it afterwards on the story and tag at Astra or something. That'd be great, because this will help you. I am absolutely sure. It's going to be provocative. So if you're up for that, I'll move on. Cool. So the first thing is that, of course, minding your own table is a metaphor as well. Just explain how much I like using those. And obviously this is a table, the square here, you see that? Obviously that's a table. These circles around it are the people, and you will notice that there's one with an X. The circle with an X is you. The table is your table. You are the table owner. The other people on your at your table are your friends. And you will notice there are 5 of them, because we get to be the average of the people we spend most time with. And what most experts say is that it's the 5 people we spend the most time with. Now, you may have more friends, show off. You may also have less friends, but here's what the greater idea comes into the picture. If I were to say myself, the 5 people I spend the most time with, now that I live in a different country, it wouldn't be people I actually physically spend the most time with. And that's the trick. It can be over the internet. It can be through reading a lot of their books. So one of the 5 people, at least for the last couple of months, for myself, would be Tony Robbins. Now, does Tony Robbins know I exist? Nope. If he sees this eventually, that'd be fun. But he does not know that he's at my table, even though he is. He is influencing me with what he brings to the table, all right? So what I want you to do now is I want you to note down 5 people you want to be in your life, you want to be at your table. Not the ones necessarily that are the 5 people you spend the most time with, but the 5 people you would like it to be. Take a few seconds to do that. It can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can be a colleague, it can be Tony Robbins, it can be everybody, okay? But take a moment and note those 5 people down. Then next to them, you note down why. Simon Sinek would say we should start with why, but we'll do that as the second one here. So note down why. What value would that person bring to your table? Could be, for instance, for my sake, I have a really good friend. He brings to the table that he is, well, loyal, trustworthy, supportive, a donkey, and if you know who you are. He brings a lot of fun to my table, and I'm not the kind of guy who hangs out with a lot of people, so I need fun every now and then. That would be a reason that's good enough for me. Alright? So write down the reasons. Now, the next thing I want you to do is listen to these 5 rules. Alright? I'm gonna say them out loud, and you're gonna think, what the fuck are you talking about, Alex? They're not gonna make sense now, but in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they will. So the first rule, be picky with who you have at your table. Be picky with who you have at your table. The second one, be picky with what tables you visit. The third one, nobody cares about your table more than you do yourself. Nobody cares about your table more than you do yourself. Number 4, only the table owner, remember, that was you. Only the table owner can bring food to the table. Everybody else can only bring spices. Alright? You can bring food to your own table. Everybody else can only bring spices. Number 5 is, you're going to starve if you only eat spices, okay? You're going to you're going to die if you only eat spices. Now, those are the 5 rules, and they make 0 sense right now, right? But just bear with me, they're going to in just a little bit. So, now that you have the list of the people you actually want at your table, and you have the list besides that says why you would like them there, I now want you to make a 3rd row with the people actually at your table. Okay, so if it's your friend, you wrote down Kenneth. And if it's Tony Robbins, you note down Tony Robbins. If it's your mom, you note down mom. Whoever it is, it just has to be the 5 people you actually spend the most time with. And you guessed correctly. Next to those names, you bring to recollection in your mind, what do they bring to your table? What do they bring to your life? These 5 people you actually have. And here's the thing. If you have a friend and he's a lawyer or something, and therefore he's smart because that takes a lot of education, that's not counting. That's not what he brings to your table unless he's your lawyer, right? If he's a lawyer by education, but you know him as Kenneth, who I always go out drinking beer with every Friday, then what he brings to your table is going out on Fridays. Okay? If it's your mom, who is the best in the world, but she's always gossiping about her coworker or whatever, and you don't live at home anymore, guess what she's bringing to your table. Gossip. Okay? I want you to be real honest. You don't need to share this with anyone. Just yourself. So note down what they actually bring to the table. Now, you should have, unless you are one of the lucky ones, 2 table lists, like of people you want and of people you actually have, and they should look a little bit different from what each other might be, right? It should be fairly obvious what table you actually rather spend your time at. Remember, it's your table, so you should be choosing. That's why rule number 1 is be picky with who you bring to the table. All right, the next one, and this is the fun one. Because if we flip it around and say that instead of your table, now this one is the table belonging to one of the 5 people at your table. So let's say, just to make it easier, that one of the 5 people at your table is your mom. Now this is her table. That means that she has 5 friends attending her table the most, right? We all have this. If you don't get it by now, the table is your life, okay? Shouldn't be explaining that, but nowadays I might need to. Right, so everyone, might as well just draw it. Right, everyone has their own fucking table, their own life, and because that you should be 1, picky with who is at your table, and 2, picky with whose table you visit. It's important to figure out how you spend your time. Now, we've just gone through calendar and how you schedule out your time, and if you listen quick, like really listen to me, you would notice that you don't have that much time, right? So let's say that you are visiting 5 different tables. The people you spend the most time with, of course you're also going to visit their table, be a part of their life. You have to choose which 5, because what happens sometimes is you, and I know a lot of people like this, you put everybody ahead of you. You're a good person, right? So everybody is worth more than you are, which means that you are actually spending more time at everybody else's table. But remember rule 3, nobody cares more about your table than you do. And rule 4 said, only the table owner can bring food to the table. The guest can only bring spice. So knowing all of this, if you are spending all of your time at different tables, and then you once in a while visit your own, is it going to be having food on the table? Or is it only going to have spices from the people visiting? Most likely spices. And there's nothing wrong with spice. Coming from a guy who can't cook for shit, adding a little bit of spice every now and then, that would do like a big trick, right? So having the 5 people in your life that visits your table, adding their spice. This one is coming and he's reading a lot of books, so he's bringing a lot of knowledge. This one is studying something that I care about, so that's bringing something interesting. This one is the most caring person ever, so I'm learning a lot of empathy from that person, right? A lot of different spices that will bring your life to a next level, right? But if you also spend time at so many other people's tables because it's fun, because it's comfortable, rule number 5 applies, which is you're going to starve. And this one in particular, the session today, the webinar today, is something I call flight instructions. Because what happens when you get on a flight? I don't know if you've been traveling lately, but it's been a thing for 28 years. That's the time frame I have, probably for a longer time, that You get in the plane, we have this stewardess, whatever, going through safety protocols, and what do they always tell you? If something goes wrong, what do? You put the mask on yourself before you put the mask on someone besides you, right? Now, that flight instruction is not only applicable for when you travel in the air, right? It's actually a life lesson. And this is so important because so many people nowadays are burned out because they spend so much time trying to help other people. Like, I have this friend who's going through that. I have this friend who's trying that. Okay, what about yourself? How in the hell are you going to be the best version of you for the 5 people you want at your table if you do not take care of yourself? Right? And I know some of you might say, yeah, well, I do care more about my sister than I do about myself. My best friend is more important than I am. Fair and square, you do you, right? But how the fuck are you going to be someone who helps them if you're dying because you're trying to put the mask on them first? You need to pay attention to your table. All right. So, I have for 8 years been battling, how do you say that, prejudice or fear of prejudice and being judged. And what helped me was recalibrating who is at my table. That means that every now and then a lot of people from the past will still reach out to say, hey, do you want to do this, do you want to do that? And I appreciate it because it's my friends from the past and they have been a part of who I was up until that time. But do I want to stay being that guy? Nope. And that means that I have to say no. Kenneth, I appreciate the things we did together, and I appreciate you asking me to spend time again next Friday going out, but I have other plans. I have 5 other people who I actually spent more time with for the better reason, in my opinion, for the future Alex. Right? What I did, because we all fear this, right? Having different dreams, saying them out loud. I cannot tell you how many times people have told me to sit down, relax, Alex, who the fuck do you think you are? You're just an ordinary Danish guy, right? And here's how I actually battled it. So I was from Odense in Denmark, and that means that it's a fairly small city compared to so many others in the world. And that meant that I was each and every day confronted with someone I kind of knew. And he or she would be laughing or looking weird at me or gossiping behind my back about, oh, do you see Alex, he wants to start his own company. Oh, do you see Alex, he is not studying anything. Oh, do you see Alex, he has published a book or whatever it is, right? Who do they think he is? And that has kept me from doing a lot of things that I wanted to do. Because I didn't want to be unpopular. I didn't want to be left outside the group. And all this stems from back in the age where being unpopular or not being accepted in the group meant that you were most likely going to die because, well, saber-toothed tigers or the hunters didn't share their food with you, right? Stone Age brain, right? But here's how I battled it. I was kind of dramatic in the way I did. I moved. First I moved to a different city, then to another one, and now I moved countries. And what I learned now that I'm in Frankfurt, for instance, way bigger city, way more people, way more international people, what I learned now is that if I still have to care about each and everyone I see on a daily basis, I would not have time to live. I would literally spend every waking second thinking, oh, wonder what he thinks, oh, wonder what she thinks, right? And that made me realize how stupid it is. So if you don't need to move, first of all, feel free, but you don't need to. But you do need to expand your view, the way you see things. Because if you can get your brain to realize that, okay, there are way more people than the ones confronting me every day where I live, you start to realize that the people you see every day, who might keep you down, at least that's how it would feel, they don't really matter. What they say don't matter, right? if you actually get a sense of how big the world is, how many people we are, you would find someone, maybe even more, who do like the things you want to do. Do you want to start your own business? And your friends are saying, okay, right, just take the safe education. Maybe you shouldn't, first of all, hang out with those guys, but maybe you should also just say it somewhere else. Find your people. Because if you find your people, and your friends or the neighbor or whatever keeps on saying, who do you think you are? You start thinking, why are you still speaking to me? Right? And it's not about being arrogant or anything. It's just about not feeling like you belong somewhere. Not geographically necessarily, but in this group of people that you've known for a while. And not giving into that. So many people, they settle for something else because that's the norm from where they come from. And that's sad. And I think that's why depression has been peaking in the last 10 years. Social media is just as fault in this as well. So my idea, see if you can expand your view. And you can do that on the internet. If you want to learn more about this, obviously ask questions or reach out, because I'd like to talk with you about it. Right? The thing is, the friends you have, the friends I have and had, are they to blame for wanting what is safe for me? No. Are they to blame for not understanding my passion and how I see the world? No. Have I blamed them? Of course I have. I've been so frustrated. But are their worldviews equally valid as mine? Of course they are. But there's an important point in that. My view of the world is valid as well. So the idea is you can show the horse where the water is, but you cannot force it to drink. Right? The next level of your life is not meant for everybody you had on the former level. And it's not about being better, and it's not about abandoning anyone. It's about outgrowing the version of yourself. And I think more people should try to do that. Now, that was about 50 minutes of me rambling. And that means that I have about 10 minutes left for questions. And I did see that there was one. So I'm going to just grab a quick glass of water and see if there more pops up. Otherwise, I'm going to address the one. I'm going to go down. Because it's been a long day. And I have things to do after. So, first of all, also, see a lot of people from my past. Appreciate you guys being here. Alright, Big Zimmer asks, first of all, hi Zimmer. If working less would help my work-life balance, even out more, would you recommend trading in less work if it puts me further away from my goals? So, I think, first of all, I don't think there's one answer to that question where everybody would be like, of course, the answer is 4. I think that's very individual from person to person, what life and work balance is. In my opinion, a work-life balance is a bit of an overrated thing to even consider, because if you have a job, a work that you really love to do, why would you want to not do that more, right? If you really actually do want to do the job you have, you don't mind working there 12 hours a day, 15 hours a day, and you would actually call that life. I'm not saying you don't like the job you have, my friend, but I'm saying that if you really consider what a work-life balance is, I would look at the other way. Like, instead of thinking, do I need to cut down on my work hours? I would see it as what is otherwise missing in my life so that it would be balanced work life. So instead of thinking, can I cut down hours so I can spend more time here and there? Think about the things you actually want to spend time at. Schedule it in the calendar around the hours you work at the job. I happen to at least I think I know, that you actually like your job. So schedule it around and think about what 5 things, who are the 5 people you want in that work-life balance. And everything else, everything that is filling up your time, maybe that's the thing you need to cut out, so you could spend more time on the 5 things that you actually want in your life. I hope that makes sense. Alright. A lot of people joining in the last minute, but that is also cool. Once again, I'm gonna post afterwards the commercial with the man I talked about. And I'll also post some of the slides that I have here. Otherwise, I don't think I'll post this one. This is how it usually is when I draw. It's gonna end up looking like whatever this is. But yeah, that was a little bit about how I would schedule life to gain more confidence, and a little bit about how I would pick my friends. I hope that it was relatable for all of you. And I'll leave you with one last note, which is, if life's not fun, why would we want to do it anymore? And if you're not having fun, something needs to change. Alright, thank you very much. I need a designer friend on my table. That is true. Yeah. Someone who can draw when I speak. That's true. Alright, thank you for being here with me. And enjoy the rest of the evening. I know Champions League is on right now, or at least in 5 minutes. So enjoy that for those of you who are going to see that. Ciao.